Hi, good morning. Hi, good morning. This is my presentation for political science. I chose to do it on human trafficking. Let me just share my screen. Figure out how to share my screen. There we go. Sorry, my computer's a little slow this morning. There we go. So, human trafficking is a huge issue in today's society, today's country, today's world, actually. Um, there is a human trafficking hotline should you know someone or suspect someone or be someone who is being trafficked. What exactly is human trafficking? Human trafficking is anything from modern day slavery. They're exploited for commercial sex or labor purposes. Um, After drug dealing, human trafficking is tied to be the second largest criminal industry in the world. And it's growing. It's growing quickly. Sex trafficking is a commercial act induced by force, fraud, or coercion. The victims can be found working in massage parlors, brothels, strip clubs, and escort services. Labor trafficking is using force, fraud, or coercion to recruit, harbor, transport, obtain, or employ a person for labor services in involuntary places. Normally, victims are found in domestic situations, nannies, maids, sweatshop factories, janitor jobs, things like that. The crime of trafficking occurs with the exploitation of the victim. Who are the victims? Who are they? Approximately 800,000 to 900,000 victims are annually trafficked across international borders. Crazy. Between 18 and 20,000 in the US annually. So just in the United States, between 18 and 20,000 people are being trafficked. More than half of the victims trafficked into the United States are children. Victims come from Africa, Asia, Russia, Canada, pretty much all over the world. And many of the victims do not speak English or are unable to communicate and let someone know that something is wrong. How are victims trafficked? By force, fraud, or coercion. So they can be raped or beaten, false deception of offers and employment, marriage for a better life. That's a big one. In October of 2000, Trafficking Victims Protection Act was signed into law. Prior to 2000, there was no law to protect the victims of trafficking or prosecute the traffickers. This law made human trafficking a federal crime, and goals of the law are to prevent human trafficking overseas, increase prosecution of human traffickers, and protect the victims. The law addresses three key areas: public awareness, a T visa certification, benefits and services to help the victims, and new law enforcement tools and efforts. what the TVPA does. It creates new laws that criminal trafficking regarding slavery, forced labor. It permits prosecution where nonviolent coercion is used. It increases prison terms for all slavery violations from 10 years to 20 years and adds a life sentence where the violation leads to death, kidnapping, or sexual abuse of the victim. So it's pretty important that this law was put into play. In 2003, the TVPA was revamped. The federal government authorized more than $200 million to fight against human trafficking. The new law strengthens legal elements. Sex and labor trafficking are now considered offenses under the RICO statute. It encourages the nation's 21,000 law enforcement agencies to investigate cases of trafficking. So it's encouraging those that are in power to investigate even the slightest tip that there's any kind of trafficking. The Mann Act was put into play. This law prohibits transporting or causing someone to be transported across state lines for immoral purposes, including population. It's a federal crime that carries harsh penalties and is often used to prosecute sex trafficking cases. In 2014, the Preventing Sex Trafficking and Strengthening Families Act was put into law. It seeks to reduce the incidence of sex trafficking among youth involved in the foster care system. So this pretty much focuses on children that enter the foster care system that are used for illegal sex acts, labor, and things like that. In 2015, the Justice for Victims of Trafficking Act. It is the U.S.'s response to human trafficking. It contains a number of important amendments that strengthen the service for victims. So this is a program, a law for the victim that it will help the victim in any way in any way possible. Benefits, housing, witness protection, whatever the victim may need, this act, this law will provide. The job of law enforcement